Welcome back to the Orange County Convention Center here in Orlando, Florida, and the Republican presidential debate. Now a question for all of the candidates. Independent New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg recently fretted over the possibility of the unemployed rioting in the streets. Ohio's Republican Governor John Kasich recently said, quote, "For the first time in my life, I'm worried about this country." And recently a liberal columnist wrote this, quote, "We've lost our mojo." You know, President Obama promised hope and change, and according to many polls, fewer and fewer Americans believe he's delivered. Now, I'm not asking for your jobs plan here. What I'm asking for is, how are you going to turn this country around? We'll go down the row, 30 seconds each. Governor Huntsman.
First of all, let me say that this is a human tragedy playing out with 15 million unemployed, so many million beyond who are so dispirited they've absolutely given up. Sheriff Hardy, who's a great sheriff in Hillsborough County, New Hampshire, talks about foreclosures that his folks are now handing out, first time ever to the middle class. I would drop 3 things on the doorstep of Congress to change and turn the situation around. 1, my tax reform package endorsed by the Wall Street Journal. 2, serious regulatory reform, Dodd-Frank, Obamacare repealed. 3, energy independence. Boone Pickens had some great ideas in terms of converting to natural gas. It's a 500,000 job creator over 5 years. It would get the engines of growth going like nothing else I can think of.
Mr. King.
Obviously, it starts with economic growth. And yes, I've already laid out how I would do that with my 999 plan. But what Americans are looking for in order to build their confidence is leadership. There is a severe deficiency of leadership in Washington, D.C., and once we fill that void, I believe American people will begin to develop some confidence again in terms of believing in this nation. Ronald Reagan was the one who said that we are a shining city on a hill. We've slid down the side of that hill. Americans want somebody who's going to lead them back up to the top of that hill. That's how we turn this country around.
Congresswoman Bachmann.
I agree. It's time to reach for the brass ring of liberty once again, and we can. The signature issue of Barack Obama and his presidency has been the passage of Obamacare. This week, a study came out from UBS that said the #1 reason why employers aren't hiring is because of Obamacare. That's why I introduced the bill to repeal Obamacare, and as President of the United States, that's the very first thing I would do, is repeal Obamacare.
Governor Romney.
All across America, you've got families sitting across from sitting in their living rooms and their kitchens, sitting at the kitchen table with a calculator and a checkbook, seeing if they have enough money to make ends meet for the month or the week. You got people who are sitting at that same table filling out job application forms, knowing that there are hundreds of other people that are doing the same thing for the same job. These are tough times for a lot of people in this country, but we are a patriotic people. We place our hand over our heart during the playing of the national anthem. No other people on earth do that. And if we're led by a leader who draws on that patriotism, who tells the truth, who lives with integrity, and who knows how to lead, America will remain the hope of the earth and the strongest nation in the world. I'll do it.
Governor Perry.
Americans want a leader who's got a proven record of job creation. #1, we get rid of Obamacare. Secondly, we pull back all of those regulations that are job killing today, whether it's Dodd-Frank or whether it's the EPA. And then we sit with Congress and we lower those corporate tax rates, we lower those personal tax rates, and then we put our plan to make America energy independent, and that is the way you get America working again.
Congressman Paul.
Government destroys jobs, the market creates jobs. So the government isn't going to be expected to create the jobs. They have to change the environment. But you can't do that unless you understand where the depression, recessions come from. And you can't understand that unless you know where the bubbles come from. I've been arguing this case for 20 years and warning about bubbles and housing bubbles and NASDAQ bubbles, and a lot of other economists have been doing the same thing. Until we understand that, you can't solve the problem. You have to deal with the Federal Reserve System. You have to deal with free markets, and you have to deal with the tax program and the regulatory system. Then you can get your jobs, because the people will create the jobs, not the government.
Waiting for the applause, Speaker Gingrich.
32 years ago, we were in the same place. We had a failing president. He gave a speech on malaise. People wrote about the presidency being too big. Nobody could do it. The Soviet Union was an offense. And a leader came along. He said, when your brother-in-law is unemployed, it's a recession. When you're unemployed, it's a depression. When Jimmy Carter is unemployed, it's a recovery. Nothing will turn America around more than election night when Barack Obama loses decisively.
Senator Santorum.
The last words Ronald Reagan said as President of the United States in his farewell address, he was concerned about the future of our country because we were forgetting who we were, didn't remember what Americans was really all about. I think that's what's the problem right now, is we have a president who doesn't understand what America is all about. America is a great country because we are a country that believes in God-given rights to every single man, woman, and child in America, and that we built this country from the bottom up, believing in free people to have that responsibility to live their lives in service to themselves, their family, their community, and their God. And in so doing, we transformed the world. We had a leader in Reagan who believed in you. President Obama is the new King George III, who believes in things being dictated from on high. We need to replace him to someone who believes in the American people again.
Governor Johnson.
My next-door neighbor's 2 dogs have created more shovel-ready jobs than this current administration. Balance the federal budget now. Not 15 years from now, not 20 years from now, but now, and throw out the entire federal tax system, replace it with a fair tax, a consumption tax that by all measurements is just that. It's fair. It does away with corporate income tax. If that doesn't create tens of millions of jobs in this country, I don't know what does.
You just made your neighbor's dog very famous. When we come back in just 1 minute, the final round, we'll be talking about the Republican ticket. We're back from Orlando, Florida.